What is up, guys? This is Pinzo back with another video today, and what I have for you guys is a discussion video. You guys can tell by the title, you guys can tell by the thumbnail, maybe, I don't know, that's what this is. Okay, we're going to talk about Pred today. And again, I say it's discussion because I don't want this to be me sitting here making my points. All right, obviously I'm going to do that first. That's what clicking on the video looks like. But you guys, what I want from you guys is to respond in the comments. Let me know if what I'm saying has any merit, okay? If you guys agree, disagree, think that I missed something, think I didn't elaborate enough, still have questions, let me know. I'm really, again, I want to get the community's feedback on a lot of the stuff in this video, because that's what I want. I want to know if I'm on the same page as you guys or if I'm, completely reading a different book. Let's find out. So this was prompted. What started me to make this video, I kind of wanted to make it a little bit, but then they released this roadmap update this morning, and I definitely wanted to make it. This roadmap, I'm not going to read it to you guys. You guys can pause and read it. But basically what this says is that they aren't continuing any new work on the current UI. So a lot of the features that would go on the current UI, they're just scrapping. They're not going to put them through. They're just going to wait until the new UI is able to be put into the game. The reasoning for this makes total sense to me. It is that if you want a feature to go into the game now, they have to design it for the current UI and the old and the new UI. Sorry. So you have to design it twice, which just sounds like a pain in the ass, right? Like I get that as a reason. That makes sense to me. The downside to this is we're going to get less features this month. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know what I'm going to be honest. I don't know if that means we are going to not get balancing, or if that means like we aren't going to get a new tab screen and stuff like that. Like that's what I would assume is like things like a new tab screen, a new HUD, like that kind of stuff is going to get just like pushed back till the new UI comes out. That's how I read this. Maybe that's wrong. You guys can let me know. This has a couple other things in this post that I'm going to point out. Number one is that they point out that the new UI is essential components for the console version. So hopefully new UI means that we're pretty close to getting console. Who knows? We don't know when either of those things are coming, but that's the hope. The other thing was, yeah, it's not expected to impact the frequency of updates or hero releases. So you should still, we're going to get all the heroes that we're supposed to get this month. There we go. On top of that, they're making the new heroes free this for the rest of the season. All the new heroes are going to be free to everyone who's playing. This means, I'm assuming what this means is that we are not getting an in-game currency, like a free currency system this season, right? Season 2. I'm assuming we're not getting that, because why else would they make the heroes free? I'm assuming that's something that got pushed back with the new UI. So yeah, I wanted to go over that post a little bit at the beginning of this, but we're going to get into some of the other things that I think Pred is struggling with at the moment. I'm going to throw up some gameplay for you guys so that you guys aren't just like sitting at me staring at the blog post still, and we're going to go over some of these things. So, number one, I think this is the biggest one. I think a lot of people will completely agree with me on this one. Lack of reason to play. There's just not a big reason to play Pred right now. All right, I get it, right? I kind of do have a reason to play, because when I open Pred, I open OBS, and I can stream, record, etc. I kind of do have a reason to play Pred. A lot of the community doesn't have that. I've talked to people through Twitch chat, YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, etc. And there are a lot of people saying, I'm taking an extended break from Pred until something happens, or I just not liking the game, or I just don't feel like playing, right? That's the kind of things that I'm hearing from these players. And it's because there is no reason to open Pred, right? When you open Pred, what are you going to gain from it? You don't gain anything, right? You get to play the game. That's it. And that's not a bad thing. The game is still fun, don't get me wrong. But the issue is that people just don't really have a reason to grind. Last season, season 1, at the very minimum, you had every 10 levels, you got plats. You got some skins up to level 50, then you got plat after that. This season, you're not really getting that. There's not a reason to grind. There's no, like, seasonal events, right? That's something that I've wanted for a long time. 4th of July weekend, you win 3 games, you get a Uncle Sam skin for Gideon. I don't know, dude. Something like that. That's a reason to play the game. Or even 4th of July weekend, you win 3 games, you get 1,000 plat. I don't know, right? Just a reason for me to open up the game and play it is kind of all that I'm looking for. On top of that, side note to that is that's why competitive nights failed. Just by the way, I don't know if they know that or what. There is no reason to play competitive nights. Obviously, it was like kind of fake ranked for one night for 3 hours a week. there was no reason to play. If you're top 5, you won to nothing compared to the people who were bottom 5, right? If I sat down in 3 hours and I won 10 games because I'm a god and we ended every game in 12 minutes, right? I didn't lose anything and I didn't win anything over people who lost every game in 12 minutes. It's one of those things. So that's kind of why that failed, and that's the reason that a lot of people aren't playing right now, is because there's no reason to boot up the game. There's, you're not gaining anything for it. There's no in-game currency to grind for. There's no, like, the leaderboard is, again, the Omida City leaderboard is fake, right? If you guys have seen Sockcap's video on it, it's like you can literally cheese it. It's really easy, that kind of thing. So there's just not a lot of reason to play. Number 2, this kind of goes into the same vein, which is matchmaking. Matchmaking feels bad right now, and to be fair, it's felt kind of bad for about the last 2 months, all right? But it feels bad right now because a lot of people are taking a break. There's not very many people playing the game. That's the number one issue, in my opinion, is that there's just the player base currently, as of right now, there are not enough people playing every day to make matches very good, especially if you guys are above, diamond or whatever, right? Then your matches are going to be worse because you guys are going to be the only diamond players in your lobbies, and you're going to have bots on your team, and then you're going to lose games because your bots are 0-10, and that's how the games go, which is just like that. Again, that's just how it is, dog. I play the exact same thing as that, right? If you're really low MMR, you might get in lobbies that are people that are gold. If you're bronze, and you might get farmed a lot, right? Those games aren't fun, but that's the reason, is mostly player base size. Side note number 1. I have 2 side notes on this. Side note number 1. Stacking is handled incorrectly in the game, and it makes the matchmaking feel worse, okay? Stacking currently, the way that they handle stacks in this game, when I say stacking, I mean like partying up, playing with friends. If you stack over about 3 people in your party, like if you're 4 or 5 stacked in your party, your matches, the odds of you having a good match are atrocious. They're not good. You will never find an even match with that. It's just not possible, because the way that they handle stacking in this game is that if you are 5 1000 MMR players, you guys are bronze, you're 5, all of you guys have the exact same MMR, 1000. When you press the play button with those 5 people in your party, it actually matchmakes to find you a match at 1500 MMR or something like that. It inflates your MMR when you're stacked, because the reasoning is that the game thinks that stacking is such an advantage that it has to match you against better players to make up for the fact that you guys are in a party. That's why it does it. The issue with that is that if you are a wood tier player, you are below bronze, you're really bad, and you are just trying to hang out with your friends, and you guys got off your 12-hour shift in the coal mines, and you're playing some pred, you guys at negative 1000 MMR, if you guys party up, you guys are going to be playing against like plat players, because that's where it's going to match you. The issue with that is that, simply put, 5 bronze players will not beat 5 plat players. It does not matter how much communication, how good the comms are of the bronze players. The plat players are simply too much better. Even if those bronze players are put up against like gold players, like there's no way they win that, right? If you guys look at the stats, I've talked about this on Predcast before. The stats for 5 stacking, like below silver in pred, it's like a 30% win rate. They don't win games, right? And that's kind of the issue. On the flip side, you have 5 stacking above like diamond, which is like a 90 bajillion win rate. It's got to be 110%. There's no way you can lose a game if you're 5 stacking in diamond, because there's no one else 5 stacking. So you get put against these wood tier 5 stacks and you stomp them. I've seen it myself. I've 5 stacked with my team in casual queue, and we got put up against a silver 5 stack. It was one of their first games playing. Their carry had never played a game of Predecessor before. It was his very first game, and he gets put against our team. It was wild, right? That's the kind of stuff that you're looking at for matchmaking. So stacks, in my opinion, are handled very incorrectly. Side note number 2, MMR sites make it feel worse. They really do, okay? 2 months ago, before the MMR sites, before Omida City, you could go into a match and you have a solo laner. He's 0-8 at 10 minutes. He's getting farmed. You don't know if that player is negative 1000 MMR, or if that guy is a plat player who's getting farmed by a diamond player, or if that's a plat player against a plat player who's having a really bad game, or learning a new role, or learning a new hero. You didn't know. But now that you have the MMR sites, you can actually go check. Okay, you can go to Omida City and open that last game, and you can check if you're solo laner. You can see my solo laner was 800 MMR. Why do you think I lost that game, huh? Because I'm stuck with an 800 MMR shitter on my team, and he's incapable of playing at this level. That's why we lost. Or this dude's 1600 MMR. How the hell did he lose that lane? That guy sucks, right? He's boosted. I don't know, right? But you can check now, and it makes the matchmaking feel worse because more often than not, it's that first example where that guy that's getting farmed really is too low MMR, not in a game that he should be in. That sucks, right? Like, it's not even his fault because he simply got put into a game he shouldn't be in. But that is something that I've noticed, is that now that we have Omida City and these MMR sites, it feels worse to play. Because you can tell. Okay, number 3. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I have been rambling on the first couple points. Number 3, items / balance. Balance, number 1, I'm going to talk about heroes. It's actually pretty good. I actually am a pretty big fan of the hero balance in the game. Couple of side notes, a couple of caveats to that are like mages, generally speaking, like Howie and Gideon have not really been nerfed, like actually nerfed. Again, Howie's gotten a couple nerfs in like the last 2 months, but not like actually nerfed. They've been like the top 2 mages for the entirety of Pred, just how it is. I don't really like that people can stay on top that long. I don't like that, but you know, they'll get to it eventually. Other than that, I kind of do like the balancing of the heroes across the board. The items are a different topic. So tanks, when the game came out, tanks were busted. Through the month of December, they nerfed tanks to shit, and then they were bad for like 2 months, and then they came back a little bit when people started figuring out that tanks actually weren't that bad. If you like built 1 damage item, you could just kind of slaughter people. And then they didn't really change any items in between like January and the carry patch. And then they had the carry patch, and they changed a bunch of items. And they made them all actually probably better, right? Except for Sky Splitter, which was an OP item. Everything else kind of got better. So, yeah, they didn't really change anything. Then the carry patch came. Now they've changed. Now we've had the crest patch as well, which was mostly good in my opinion. I think there were some kind of misses on the crest patch, but for the most part, they were pretty good. Now we get to the point where we're looking at the items in Pred, and this is what I've come to find out because I've been doing research, okay? I have been playing League of Legends against my will. It's not fun, but I've been doing it to learn more about things in Pred. I hate League, but something I've learned is that half the items in Pred, okay, maybe even more than half, the majority of the items in Pred, from what I can tell, are straight up ripped from League. Like copy, Control-V, Control-C or whatever, right? To straight up copy those things from League into Pred. The issue, specifically, I'm going to specifically talk about the carry items for half a second here. The specific issue with the carry items in Predecessor versus having the same items in League, right? A lot of these are ripped stats, passives, straight from League into Pred. The issue is that you are tearing items out of a game where carries have to stop moving to shoot. You literally cannot move and shoot in League. Into a game where carries barely slow down to shoot, right? I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. But in League, you cannot move and shoot. In Pred, you move almost full speed and shoot. So having items like Lightning Hawk that slows people makes sense in League, right? Because you have to slow people to keep up with them. Because in League, if you're running at someone and you auto, you have to stop, and then they can keep moving because they don't have to stop when you auto them. And then you have to catch up and auto again, and catch up and auto again, and you end up getting behind them. They outrun you. That's the point. With an item like Lightning Hawk in League, it lets you keep up, get an extra auto in. In Pred, it lets people never get out of your range. You know, like that kind of thing just doesn't work in Pred. It's like, take Valorant, where you have to stop to be accurate, right? That's the point to Valorant. It's attack shooter. You have to stand still in order for your gun to be accurate. If you were to take Valorant and put someone who's playing with Valorant weapons against someone who's playing with Apex Legends weapons, right? Like, generally speaking, that Apex Legends person's gonna win because they can move around and shoot way, like they like, you're harder to hit and you can move all the whole time. It would be like in Valorant, right? The reason that the Stinger was so good for a while was the fact that you could move while shooting it in a game where everyone else has to stand still, right? It's the difference in, you know, actually having to stand still to shoot someone versus being able to sprint full speed and keep shooting someone. Those two things make for very different gameplay. So modeling all the carry items after the league carry items just doesn't really make sense to me. Like, again, I think Smite would be a much more apt thing to model off of. But at the end, I think you just are going to have to figure out how you want your game to play. I don't think you can force Pred to play like League. The games are too different. And as of right now, I really think that the devs are trying to force Pred to play like League. That's just one issue. The final thing that I've got for this is, again, something very similar to what I just ended the last point as, which is the map. It's the League map. All right, that's what it is. I don't care if you guys agree or disagree with that. It's like 85% the exactly ripped from Summoner's Rift. The issue with that, once again, is that you are forcing a three-dimensional MOBA, a third-person three-dimensional MOBA. You are forcing them to play the exact same as a top-down RTS MOBA or whatever the fuck you want to call League, right? You're forcing them to play it the same way, and I really don't like that, because at the end of the day, the final snooze before you snooze is that predecessor is not League. It is not Smite. It plays actually quite different from both of those games, believe it or not. It's currently is trying to be League, and I really do believe that. I think that they are trying their best to follow League, and I really think they need to get away from that. The map, I think, is the biggest stickler for that, because the map in Pred really just doesn't work, in my opinion. I don't like it in really any of its facets. I think the jungle is horrible. I've been very vocal about how bad I think the objectives are. The lanes are okay, but not great, in my opinion. I think the lanes are very mid. The mid lane specifically is so short. Like, you're ungankable in the mid lane, to be completely honest. The side lanes, I do like the edges of the lanes where they drop down, and you have the pillars, you have the side buffs. I like that. That's actually good. The jungle itself, it's too tight. Everything's a choke. There's only 4 camps and 2 buffs on the map, which to me just makes it feel like it's empty. There's nothing to do. Your jungler has a lot of downtime, but they still have to be at their camps on time because they're really easy to invade, and there's no like downside to invading. You know, all that kind of stuff. It just kind of adds up to this map that, to me, just doesn't really fit with the game we're playing. So that's one of my issues with it. Again, I may do a full video on the map, to be honest. I haven't decided on it yet, because that is, in my opinion, basically the biggest issue with the game as of right now. So, yeah, we'll see what ends up with that. But that's one of the biggest issues, I think, is the map. If you guys have more questions, let me know down below. Those were kind of the main points that I wanted to bring up today. If you guys have more points, let me know down below. I want to know what's your issues with Pred? Why aren't you playing Pred? Why are you playing Pred? I want to know all of that. Let me know down below. I'll respond to any questions. I'll respond to a lot of the comments. I'll be active, I promise. So yeah, that's kind of all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to put out a lot of this into the ether so that you guys could look at it, listen to it, respond to it, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's all I've got for you guys. So as always, I've been Pinzo. This video is donezo. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.